This is One on One. Hi, I'm Steve Adubato. It's my honor, my pleasure to introduce an old friend. It's part of our series called Gone But Not Forgotten. Major General Clark Martin, retired, but he's the chairman of the board of the New Jersey Vietnam Veterans Museum Foundation. Good to see you, Clark.
Good to be here. Thanks, Steve.
We knew each other in a previous life.
We did.
When you were down in the halls of the state capitol, representing different interests as a lobbyist.
Mm-hmm.
And I served in a short tenure in the state legislature. But we get to know each other in this situation when you represent this great organization. Describe the foundation and the museum.
Well, the foundation was formed in the early 90s to raise money to build a memorial wall, which we have 1,563 names of New Jerseyans killed or missing in action in Vietnam. And also for the Education Center, which has morphed into a museum.
You know, you served when? Curious about this. Your service, when was it?
Well, I was on active duty for 6 years, but I was in Vietnam from 67 to 68.
Clark, what is it about? I was actually watching a special the other day on our good friends over at CNN are doing a special on the 1960s. And they were doing obviously a lot of it about Vietnam. Mm. And so much of it was about public opinion at the time. It was so much against the government and the decisions being made about the war in Vietnam. But then you begin to realize that a lot of that negativity about, or public opinion about the war, became negative feelings toward veterans. And I sit there saying, but that makes no sense. All these years later, is some of that still there? No,
it's all gone, thanks mostly to Vietnam veterans who had to endure the sufferings and the insults when they came back from the war. An unpopular war morphed into unpopular veterans. I escaped all that because when I finished in Vietnam, I went straight to Germany. Well, I stopped off in Sacramento to get married, but we went straight to Germany to a squadron that was all Vietnam veterans or pilots who were about to go to Vietnam. So overseas, all I did was read about it. But it was amazing to me that that public opinion turned so sharply against us. And I remember in 1965 when President Johnson built up, the public was behind the war 100%. When I joined the Air Force in 1966, the public was behind it. When I went off to Vietnam in 67, the public was behind it. When I came back in 1968, the public had totally turned against us. We had, remember the riots in the Democratic National Convention in Chicago, those guys? And they were the heroes, and we were the bums. We were the people that killed women and children. And I was just astonished. How could it have happened all so soon? Of course, we had short hair, and they did not. Maybe that was one of the differences.
Yeah, but the reality is you were just simply doing what it is that our country has asked. You know what's so interesting is that in Afghanistan and Iraq and other places where young men and women and others fight on behalf of our country, mm-hmm. they are not drafted. Many of the young men were drafted. Oh, sure. They had no choice. And so their lives were cut short. Mm-hmm. Those who lost their lives, and then others whose lives were never the same, they had no choice. And then they're treated like pariahs. So now go back and talk about the work you're doing now. Talk about the foundation and how it's working to every day try to turn that around and educate folks.
Well, our mission is to preserve and honor the 1,563 New Jerseyans who were killed, so that people will understand what they went through, and it's really touches the heart part of the museum. We have a timeline about Vietnam, which starts in, 1 BC, but it telescopes through the 60s. So
as you talk, they're going to show some of the shots of the wall, but go ahead.
Yeah, it telescopes through the 60s all the way to that day in 1974 when Saigon fell.
Yes.
So you get to get an idea of what was going on in Vietnam and what was going on in the United States concurrently. So that's interesting. What touches the heart is the circle of letters. Letters written by, well, every letter is written by somebody killed in Vietnam. So when you understand that, you can't get through too many of those letters before you get very, very sad. And we also have a theater with histories, video histories, and testimonials.
You've been the chairman for several years now, 3 years.
3.
There are corporations who support this effort, individual citizens. By the way, go on the website, not just to find out information, but to also find a way where you can be helpful. That's what this series, Gone But Not Forgotten, is all about, that the Caucus Educational Corporation is producing in cooperation with our partners in public broadcasting, WNET and JTV. That's why we're doing this. Why are you doing it? Personally. Why are you doing it personally?
I'm doing it. Initially, I did it because a legislator asked me to do it, and you can't say no in my line of work. And also, I'm one of the few Vietnam veterans in Trenton. And then I just became more and more involved when I learned about the mission. We talk about how Vietnam veterans have taught the public by example that if a war is unpopular, you don't treat the returning soldier or sailor the way we were treated. And I mean, I don't feel so sad because I told you I escaped it, but who I'm proud of are the guys on the motorcycles with the ponytails and the leather jackets and pants, and the ones that go to the airport and escort these returning heroes. Now, I don't look like them, but I consider them to be my brothers. You know, the Nam Knights, those fellows.
Before I let you go, this other piece of the initiative, the Huey helicopter. Real quick, tell me about the Huey helicopter, an iconic symbol in New York in the war.
Yeah.
As we're looking at it right now, this particular one sat in Fort Dix for 25 years before being donated to the museum. Real quick, why is this important?
Well, it's the icon of the Vietnam War. 7,000 of those flew over there. This particular one flew before I got there, so that was 66, 67, and after I left, 68, 69, by the 116th and the 118th assault helicopter companies. And it was donated to us, and we had volunteers repair it for a year before we were able to.
It's part of the collection at the museum.
Yep.
Listen, folks, do yourself a favor. Find your way down to, and tell everyone where the museum is.
Exit 116 of the Garden State Parkway, right next to the PNC Art Center.
That's right. And also, you can buy, they can buy, is it a brick?
Pavers, yes.
Pavers. And that's like $375. $375.
Yep.
Go on the website to find out more. Major General Clark Martin, Chairman of the Board, New Jersey Vietnam Veterans Museum Foundation. Good to see you, Clark.
Thanks, Steve.
Appreciate it. Stay with us one-on-one. We'll be right back right after this.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by the Russell Berry Foundation, the Ohlendorf Center, Cohn Resnick, the Fidelco Group, Fedway Associates, United Water, New Jersey's credit unions. Promotional support provided by the Star Ledger, powering NJ.com, and by NJ Biz, all business, all New Jersey. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area. One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been produced in partnership with St. Joseph's Healthcare System.